Hey everybody, this is Paul here, and I was watching some other tutorials on doing stuff in Blender, and I was trying to see if I could learn any new tricks. But they were good tutorials, but I didn't see anything too fancy. So I'm going to try something a little crazy. First, let's delete this cube, and I'm going to add not a metal ball, but mesh. I'm just going to use a icososphere. I guess we can smooth it. Let's just smooth it once. Alright. I know it takes a little bit of setup, but I guess we'll show you what I'm doing. Alright. Apply and modifier. Okay, I guess that looks nice and smooth, right? So, I guess what we do, we go object mode or edit mode. Add. Can we unwrap this thing? Smart UV project, and I do want island margins because that allows for bleed. So small value there, I guess that should be good. So now we should have some UVs. UV editing. That looks fairly reasonable, I guess. Yeah, okay. Doesn't quite use up the whole square, but close enough. Minimal stretching, I would think. Yeah, it's not too terrible. Anyhow, point of this isn't necessarily the UV stretching or the mapping process, just to have a map on there. Which it does, which means we're good, right? So let's go back to default. Now we're going to go into cycles, because this is what I want to do. Object mode. And so let's leave it the original name. I'm trying to think what I want to do here. And it has a map on it. Can I just go straight up and paint it? Extra paint. It doesn't look like I can do it yet. I gotta make a texture, I guess. So we're assigning a texture of some sort. So I guess we want to go back to UV editing. You have to select the object here. Edit mode, there we go. And if I remember right, we make a new map here. I want to get enough resolution to work with, so I'll double this. Probably don't need to, but add. Can you hear it? A second. Yes. Should be fine, I think. It's not showing the textures. Oh, I know why. It's the cycle, so you have to assign the textures. And we didn't do that yet. So let's go back to default. And give it a material. Let's call this control map. So I'm not painting regular old textures, I am painting a map to control how the textures build up in cycles, which is a little tricky, I guess. But it's going to be a grayscale map, and we're going to use it to control our other procedural textures and how they build up in cycles. So, yeah, like what? Right now, nothing fancy. Should probably set up some lighting so we can see what they're doing, right? Alright, let's see. Let's turn up our light. Bring it over here. Got it set for cycles. Edition, color, strength. Alright. Nothing fancy yet. I know you're kind of disappointed it's not happening yet. these things take time, so I haven't worked out a perfect workflow for this yet, so it takes a little while. So go back to icosphere. We got the control map, but we got to set up the control map. Go in compositing. Alright, right now it says color, but we need to add texture to the color. Or actually, what we want to do is have texture control mixer. Alright, so color. Or actually, what we want to do is have the texture. Oh, how shall I say that? Control. It's going to get complicated, I'm sure. One diffuse. 2 different glossies. Okay, so what I'm thinking of doing is using a texture that makes an effect like you're sanding through paint. So one would be the shiny paint, one would be the primer paint, and then I want to be like the bare metal. We're going to do a texture to control that. This is possible. Let's see. So for bare metal, it should be a glossy, slightly blue, I guess. That's fine. And low roughness. Diffuse is going to be like flat primer, so maybe a higher roughness. And let's do some kind of bright color like bright red glossy, but this will actually have to be a mix itself. So yeah, shader, mix shader here. I'm trying to think of how to do this, because I want to do is map the transition between all of these through grayscale. And then that grayscale controls all of them, so I might have to create a group to do it. I'm thinking this as I go along. Yeah, it's horrible, I didn't do this before. But I think it's possible, so. Color, and I don't want to mix color there. So got a glossy and a diffuse, right? And the diffuse should be the same color, maybe slightly darker. Okay. And then for this, you want a, what is it you got? Input, and that would be layer weight. Facing usually works good for this, because I'm not really going for highlights here right now, I just want it to be shiny. And that goes and mixes diffuse, and let's do like, what's that funky color primer, like a red primer? Not a red primer, but that kind of orangish look. Tan primer. Yeah, that color, I think there's a primer that's like that. It's like a flat paint, but it's used to adhere to outer paint. So now we gotta add another mix shader. Alright. So this here is our regular shiny surface paint. This here is our primer. And down here is the bare metal, right? Okay. So what I do is, so oops, one box, I wanted to grab that there. And right now it's 50-50. And well, I could do is have the texture control just to do this as a start. So we'll just show you what a texture does right here. So texture, image texture, yeah. And it should be untitled right now. And we want, is it alpha or color? Alpha I think is the same as grayscale. It shouldn't matter really if you paint in grayscale. And that's fine. We have UVs, or Well, I guess that goes in a vector, so you gotta add a texture coordinate. Well, it should default to UV, but never know, so input, you want texture coordinate, and UV there. Okay, so this is our control channel texture. Grab these. Oops, I don't want to grab that. And I grab these. Get them out of the way. Try to organize this so it's not too much of a mess. I should probably use groups soon enough. So let's go back to default. And can we render now? Render, nothing too fancy. Looks like it's showing the texture, or the checkerboard texture. But I think that means it's kind of working. So what you want to do is, oh, this isn't the rendered view. This is just the. Switch to texture view. Yeah, and that's why it's showing the checker texture there, showing it is mapped. So I guess that means we can paint it now. And texture paint, and we just want to paint it black and white. There's no saturation or anything. Let's just paint it black here. White, black there. Full strength. There we go. You're like, what's he doing? Why is he just painting it black and white? Well, I'll show you in a sec. You'll see. Remember, this is controlling the mixture between the textures. Well, I want to see if I can get a gradient to control transitions between 3 textures. First, we'll work with 2 just to see that we got it working. Right now, black is 0, so should be whatever 0 is on the mixer. So, compositing. Top channel, I believe, coordinates to 0 here on the factor, so it will be the red paint, I believe. Let's check it out. Default. And in a rendered preview, it should be red paint, right? Or yeah, see the shiny paint. Okay, so that's cool. And if we go back to texture painting, now we paint it in white, and that should be our primer paint, right? Yeah, it's kind of messy right now, but it's just an idea showing you something. Yeah. So you got the shiny paint here, and you got the dull primer paint, and now we want to transition from that to what is it? The bare metal. So how do we do that? Get a grayscale to dry it. So what I'm thinking is we gotta use less than greater than channels to drive our factors. Yeah, okay. And I know it's like, what's he doing? Yeah, it involves math anyways. Let's see. So we go input, or let's do, what is it? I do shader, mix shader. Okay, so 0 on this one will be whatever the output of this one is. Alright. So, let's see. And then we want this one to actually drive something else. I'm just going to disconnect it for now. This, oh, I thought I grabbed both. Did, but I didn't. Keep forgetting to use the other mouse button. Just want to drag. I gotta right click to drag both of them. Alright. So let's get our math nodes here. And what we want is converter math. And alright. So, drag up there. Alright, so we want to do like 3, 3, and 66, I believe. So, let's change this to a, what is it, greater than or less than? Okay. 0 will go to that one, so we want it less than, I believe. So this is a less than node. And 0.333. There we go. And this is our input. Come on. We're doing that again. Pardon me. And next one will be a less than. But this one will be 0.66. That's 2/3, not that number. I don't think anybody's superstitious like that anymore anyways. Silly stuff. Alright. Derp-a-derp. What am I doing? Come on, just one of those. Drag this over here. So, if the grayscale is less than 0.3, it should pop this first one over. And I think it'll be a hard blend because it's less than. This one will be like, if it's less than that value, it will be 1 or 0. Well, we could test it. And if I'm wrong, I can flip it, right? This might be a greater than. We'll just see. Color, yeah, just color. Pop that in there. Pop another one from this one to that one. Hopefully, we shall see if this has the results I'm looking for. If not, I'll have to tweak some more. And then we will make a node group after this mess is put together, just to show you how to do that. So let's see, to default, and now I'm going to try to paint a grayscale in texture paint mode. So let's paint here, somewhere in the middle. Is it working? Textures, maybe I have to switch them around. It could be the case. It should pop over when it crosses a certain threshold on the band, if I recall. But I think I need to switch to greater than. So let's go back to rendered. Okay, I'm getting that one and that one. Not the middle one. Let's switch it over. I think I got it backwards. So this should be greater than. And this should be greater than, right? Maybe one has to be less than and one has to be greater than. Maybe that's it. Let's make this one less than. Alright. So if it's less than the first value, it should pop this one. If it's greater than the second value, okay. Let's try it this way. Alright, yeah. But I got them backwards still. They're not in the right order. Because I have the bare metal and then the fancy and then the primer, which is backwards. It's a neat effect, but it's backwards from what I wanted to try. So, compositing again. I guess this one is greater than. And this one is less than. Oh, I know there's some trick to this, so let's try this. Okay. Maybe they're both the same. What am I doing here? Yeah, that's what I get for not practicing ahead of time, huh? Greater than... Greater than? Alright. Should hit on it eventually. Aha, here we go. See, so you got the bare metal, you got the primer, and you got the... The transitions are really sharp because it's greater than less. I'm trying to think if there's a way to smooth out the transition a bit more. I'm sure there is. There's got to be a way to fuzz it up, but I'm trying to think of how to do it. Because a ramp would do it, but a ramp doesn't have outputs or a way to mix these things together. Unless I use a multiplier, that might work. Could try that. So the greater than less than would work as a switch between 1 and 0, right? And the multiplier would still allow for some degree of ramping because... Alright. I'm trying to think of how to do it. So we're going to add another math node. And multiply. Because I want to have a fuzzy blend between them. I just don't want them to snap to the next color so fast. So multiply in here. Got that first part working where it switches. But I want to fuzz it up, so. And I multiply in here. There's probably more I need to do too, so. Okay. Then you're like, what the hell are you doing, Paul? What are you doing? Yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Alright. And let's go back to default. Is it any fuzzier? It's hard to tell. Smear this sucker up a bit. I might have to make a second video if I can figure this out better. But I'm trying to fuzz it up. Let's see. Alright, what am I doing here? So I want that transition like the paint is sanded off. That's the effect I'm going for. Alright. Okay, I think that's good enough. We shall see, right? Alright. Let's go back to rendered so we can see the actual effect. And it's not quite mixing with the multiply like I took, but you gotta understand that it's starting out with a value that instead of going between 0 and 1, it's starting out at the value of a 33 or 66 for one of these. So alright, I'm trying to think of how I can do this. So you know this is a value of 66, or 66%, I should say. So percentages, which is why it's 1 and 0. And this is the input here. So it inputs the whole thing. Technically these are inputs too, but they're just plain old colors. Alright. Right now I only have 3 steps. And the first step is, actually the first step is this one. 33. So once it gets out of that range to the 33, it goes pop and then goes 0 because it's hitting the next range, right? So when it's greater than that, or actually greater than it gives you the value, but less than that value gives you 0, which snaps it. Unless the multiply should come before, and then this one the multiply is after. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's in a start of something, and I think I will come back when I do this better, but get an idea of the problem solving involved in creating textures. Because what I want to do is just have one grayscale control transition of 3 different textures. But you can see that it does control 3 different textures. It's just the transition I have to work out. And it is pretty cool. I could start a node group with this already, so could do that. So we'll just make all of this a group. And let's see, node and group. So all these are grouped now, right? Oh wait, we don't want to do that. I want to undo it. It doesn't want to undo. Alright. Group. Because I had stuff selected I want to select. There. Now let's do the group. Okay. So, let's see inputs. Actually, these should all be one input. I don't know why it's mapping it to 4. So these should all be combined. And it doesn't want to let me unhook the socket. Why is it doing that? It's being annoying. It's being annoying. Well, let's see what it does on the outside. Maybe it's creating 4 sockets here too. I don't know why it's doing that. But I only need 1 socket for the input. And it's being stupid. Okay. How do we fix that? Well, let's cut all that crap. And don't need that. Remove it. How do we remove this? Alright. I don't need all these values. Oh, I guess right here. Okay. And this should be factor, I guess, right? It's a type of factor. And output shader is fine. So this is a grayscale factor control, which is the value, driving our texture. So we want factor going to there, factor going to there, and also goes to multiplies. Actually, you know what? I should probably clamp that to black and white. That would make sense, right? So no stupid, unexpected stuff happens. Converter. Should be black and white. That just ensures it's black and white. That's all this. And then you gotta do value here. Input there. Put it there. Yeah, Paul, you're crazy, but okay. And that one goes there. And then that one goes there. And you don't have the confusing mess of unnecessary sockets when I go outside of this. Okay. Why it made that, I don't know. Yes, yeah, that's a lot better. And this should be called 3 mixer or something. Let's call this. Three-way paint? I don't know. But it's a procedural but it is being driven by a grayscale texture. Come on. Oh, I didn't want all of that. Oh, there we go. Hotkeys. I'm not used to them all the time. Alright. And then I drag this over. This is a less cluttered mess. And now if you want to use that anywhere else, you can. It's a lot easier. Just unselect. See, I'm used to other programs where if you box select, it unselects everything else. This doesn't do that. That screws me up. So I'm used to other stuff. Alright. So what we have is these two right here. This one is your UVs, obviously, because the color is mapped to UV. And it drives the factor of this, which switches between the 3 shaders inside of it, which are the flat paint, the shiny paint, and the bare metal stone. And I will try it again next time to get them mixed up in a smooth blending way, but it'll probably take a while, and this video is way too long as it is. I might just do a follow-up that cuts it short and explains what I did. Okay. Till next time. See you then. But it's pretty cool, right? Okay.